In everyone, we're back. Priest of Dispatches After Dinner Chat episode 5 with Barrie Robinson-Bule, also known as Mormon Mad, live from the UK. Barrie contributed to the blog with his story Jesus in the Fridge that we will hear about later. That one also won our Sunstone UK competition, and he got a nice box of chocolates for his troubles. Now, in a break to our usual programming, this day is quite a momentous day, the 15th of October 2021. And on this day, breaking news in the last maybe 3 or 4 hours, a letter dated the 15th of October 2021 to all stake and district presidents in the United Kingdom and Ireland, specifying that there will be a special state conference broadcast on Sunday the 31st of October at 10 a.m. And that conference broadcast will feature none other than President M. Russell Ballard, acting president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, and he will be accompanied by Elder Jeffrey R. Holland, Elder Quintin L. Cook, their wives, and Elder Massimo Di Fio of the European Area Presidency. From speaking to people still in the TBM world, in leadership positions, they will be in the flesh somewhere in the UK, and that meeting will be then broadcast across the UK to all the stake centres for everyone to be at. So I don't know how many years it's been since 3 apostles came all together to the UK. They've come one at a time, but for 3 of them to come to pay the airfare, we know they're pretty stingy when it comes to helping people with the money that they've got. So we can only label this as the UK rescue.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I mean, personally, I couldn't give a flying shit. They're just white old men, but old white men. Sorry, but the no doubt the kind of TBM world's going a bit mad. They're getting all excited and preparing spiritually for these 3 geezers.
You know what though? I spoke to my brother-in-law, who's a stake president in the UK, and by video link from here at Kolob, and he didn't even know yet. He knew that they were going to be coming, but I just told him, snail mail on Kolob gets the letters from God quicker than it does there on Earth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite a momentous thing. From our point of view, being post-Mormon, I think it's more of an exciting thing as to like, Elder Holland's just going to get up and be like, "Don't you dare leave," isn't he? And
well, there's got to be those messages out there. I mean, if I was them, I'd do the same. I mean, you can't blame them because let's face it, the UK is going through a really tough time with people leaving in droves. State attendance being really low, especially after COVID. You've got the church has got a massive problem all over the world, but it feels, I don't know if it's just anecdotal or if it whatever, just because we're here, but it feels really quite bad here. I definitely, they have to do something, and so they're bringing the good big guns over to try and solve it, and it'll be I'll be amazed if it'll be that kind of love wrapped up in guilt kind of approach that they have.
I think they'll give us the whole they'll give us like what is it? The UK saints built the church, and they'll do the whole like you came out and saved the church from a great apostasy and different things with the missionary work and everything, and now it's your time to rally again. And
never mind that the early missionaries lied their asses off about there being no polygamy and tricked them all to go over there. But you
Yeah.
know, the British saint saved the church based on lies.
And married all the young girls before they could get to Utah.
To be honest, I'd have probably done that as well. You know, so that's two things that I'd have done.
Yeah. It's almost like they pushed them on the boat and they put their stamp on them for later. They were like, go see my wife when you get there, and she'll give you a side room, and you just wait for me, you. But yeah, it's 21st Century Saints saying they agree, and I must credit 21st Century Saints, who were the first to break the news, if that's anything. But definitely 21st Century Saints get the credit for breaking that news. So
well done, guys. Well done.
Yeah, pat on the back. Cool. Anyway,
who's Doug Vincent? I don't understand his comments. Why would he must be in rough shape to muster that kind of? I'm just in rough shape if he's referring to me, but I don't know what response he's referring to.
Doug is the nicest guy out in the States, and yeah, I think we're all just a bit rough, Doug. It is 8 p.m. on a Friday night. I know that I am at least 2 drinks already into my evening. Not too sure about Barrie or Mormon Mad, but I think we'll loosen up. You know, give us time, Doug. Give us time. Cool. So let's get to you now, Barrie. Let's forget about them old white men, because
I'm sure
they
we'll
don't
talk
make any
about
real
them again.
difference.
They're coming up again, don't worry.
There's some good ones coming up, yeah. But so you are from the Leeds area of the UK?
Yeah. Leeds born and bred, Yorkshire boy.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'll kick you off with how you became a member of the church. You're like the unicorn. You were a convert as a teenager, and you were the first in your family to hear the gospel and be converted.
I wasn't the first to hear it, but I was the first to be baptized.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I was actually 13 going on 14, because I remember becoming a teacher shortly after being baptized. And yeah, I remember my mum getting taught by the missionaries, and I said to her, "Mum, you know, you can do this if that's really what you want to do. You know, each to their own. You get taught, but I don't want anything to do with it." And then there was a knock at the door, and I opened it, and there was 2 amazingly good-looking sister missionaries outside. I'm like, yeah, come in. Yeah, are you going to listen? I'm like, yeah, I'll listen. Yeah. and so they got me, and then all of a sudden, somebody who didn't believe in God, had never said a prayer in his life, was suddenly praying and thinking he was Joseph Smith.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a wicked transformation.
You know what? There's some good parallels there with the story of Joseph Smith, and I think for much of your life, at least for the years following, you kind of followed a similar pattern in following the gospel. Not so much writing a crock of shit book.
I wrote a few of them.
Oh,
never published them or claimed that they were from the divine, but yeah.
But you continued as a faithful TBM, went on a mission to Montreal in Canada. Was that particularly enjoyable, or?
Yeah, I mean, I went on a mission when I was 20, so in 98. And
what was wrong with you?
I just masturbated too much.
It took you the extra year to stop.
Yeah. But I was 2 years. I was properly clean. But no, I went when I was 20. I'm sure there was other reasons that delayed it. I loved it. Yeah, Montreal. I had to learn to speak French, though I was properly shit at learning to speak French. My first area was supposed to be French, and we only taught English people. My second and third and areas were all English. So for a year, I didn't I wasn't speaking any French, and then they shoved me in a French area in the
Wow.
middle of Montreal with no one, and I was expected to have the gift of tongues, I think. And I tried to convince myself that I had a few times, but when I'm really honest with myself, I was still shit with the gift of tongues.
Can you speak any of it now?
Un petit peu, oui.
Okay.
So
you
no, not really.
Okay. I was going to say, at least you come out with something, but no, not even that. Cool. So you came back from Canada, quickly got married within the next 6 months.
Proposed within 2 months. I mean, we were kind of we were really close friends before, so it wasn't like I hadn't known her. Yeah, within 2 months proposed, 6 months married, 9 months first kid.
Wow. 9 months from coming back off your mission.
Let's just say my firstborn could have been called Madrid.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. But then that didn't stop you being called as a branch president?
Well, it was a bit later on, yeah. But I think I've done every calling under the sun at ward level. But yeah, I was branch president. And do you know what? I loved it. And this can't be understated. I loved being a member of the church. I loved being a priesthood. I loved having callings where I was probably the center of attention, and where I was helping people and trying to make a difference. I mean, the church was built for me. I couldn't question anything about it. There was always a reason to ignore the doubts.
Yeah.
Because everything else was so good. It was, the whole, but the people aren't perfect, but the church is. That was my attitude, and I hate myself for that. But it really was. I loved everything about the church. Adored it, and I was so far in. It was unbelievable. But I think I wasn't so far in that I was a weirdo. I didn't not eat meat in the summer. I still drank Coke, but I never blessed a cat with consecrated oil. So I wasn't a freak, Mormon freak. I think I struck a nice balance with being a weirdo and in the world. So yeah, I mean, because there are some kind of proper batshit crazy Mormons out there. That I'm really pleased that I wasn't part of, and I always took it as a compliment when people didn't know I was a Mormon. When we were at college, I never knew that. I'm like, oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, someone said to me once I said I grew up in a cult, and they said to me, "Oh wow, which one?" And I said, "Oh, Mormonism." And they said, "Oh, that's not a cult," like non-members. They were like, "Mormons are nice." Yeah, Mormons are really nice, and I was hopefully a really nice Mormon. And like you say, there was the thing about Mormonism. There was always kind of an answer at some point, until maybe the last 10 years, when it all just comes down to just listen to the prophet. Just listen to the prophet.
You see, the thing that really struck me as a 14-year-old kid, somebody came and told me this plan of salvation, and they told me that this thing was true, and that all the other churches, they had something, but they didn't have the whole truth.
Yeah.
And that got me like that. I was like, yeah, that's got to be it. And so I've grown up. I've been in the church. I'm 43 now, 30 years. And I've grown up with that teaching that this is the only true church, that this is the right way, that revelation is received through the living prophets.
Yeah.
And now to hear this kind of, neo-apologetics, so the guys like the Givens that can go, oh, it doesn't really have to be, you can live in this gray area. The church doesn't have to be so black and white, or even be be accused of being such a black and white thinker because how dare I just think that this is the only true church.
Yeah.
It's just a load of bollocks. And it really infuriates me that my intelligence is kind of questioned, that I couldn't think that this was the only true church, or that this black and white thinking didn't exist, that we're allowed to live in this grey area. No, you're not allowed. You can't go for a temple recommend and answer those questions fully and still live in and have your faith in the grey. I don't think you can.
No.
I just don't. And if you do, you kind of have to play mental gymnastics. You know, you can't just be straight. It can't just be straight. Like, it was a dead simple. As a 14-year-old boy, it's either true or it isn't. So when I was a 40-year-old man and I'm questioning it and I'm trying to investigate whether these truth claims are right or not, and I'm looking at the CES letter and I'm going into all these other apologetics and farms and all kinds of things, my question's still the same. Is it true or not? It's that it has to be black and white. And when you do that, you're going to land. You can only land in one place. It's a pile of shit.
Yeah, and I mean, all power to people who can live in that grey area, because I do think that for some people, maybe leaving is just
It's
too
the wrong
much.
thing. I absolutely. So I think about my mum, okay, and if she left the church, it would her life wouldn't be it wouldn't be better for her. And there's lots of people that I know that are really good people. I mean, most Mormons are really good people, and they're happy and it works for them. Good on them. That's not a problem. They're not the type of person to be pushing it onto other people. My issue isn't with the members who can live in the grey. It's my issues with apologetics that say you should, and it's with the church leadership who's trying to hide the blatant lies and still proselyting them when it's quite clear that if even if you took the grey world of Mormonism, they can't present that in a correlated way. So they're still having feed people bullshit, because the grey that everybody's kind of trying to believe in doesn't exist. It's made up just as much as the lies are. So it's really difficult. The church is in a really, really difficult position with it.
Yeah, and I think the thing that annoys me is all of this grey comes from the apologists.
Yeah.
And the church won't correct them because it helps them maintain a membership or a portion of their membership that would have left already. But I think when it gets too fuzzy for them, you get things like Elder Holland at BYU the other week going for, the course correction on LGBTQ, etc. So I think as soon as something happens where the church has to they've got skin in the game, then there's no grey. To them, it's still black and white.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's, if you follow the leaders, I'm sorry, you live in you have to, your faith has to be black and white. If you follow the Terrell Givens of the world, be as grey as you like. That's absolutely fine. But know that you are diluting the message of the leaders of the church.
Yeah.
And if you're fine with that, good on you, because I couldn't care less. But that's what's happening.
Yeah, and I think Sheila says there, if a church member lives in a grey area of belief, they have to put integrity in their back pocket. And I think that is so true, Sheila. The thing that I found recently, and Kwaku, the tits guy,
Yeah.
Did it
Tips,
just
did you
the other
say? Or
day
tips?
with Columbus, because obviously everyone's upset with Christopher Columbus because he was a evil slave trader, but the Book of Mormon specifically references this man. And when I was a missionary, I literally hold the Book of Mormon up in front of people and say, "Look, Christopher Columbus is in
Yeah.
the Book of Mormon," you know,
Yeah.
even though it's written after the fact. But Kwaku was saying, "Oh, look, there's the Christopher Columbus wasn't the man. I don't believe that Christopher Columbus is the man that they're speaking about in the Book of Mormon." And he was saying, look at these contemporary accounts from people at the time about how evil Christopher Columbus was, and basically deriding him and saying that he didn't have to follow all of the words of the prophets, only the ones that were kind of communicated to him through the Spirit.
Yeah.
And I just said to him, well, isn't that the same as Joseph Smith when we say, you've got the church stuff, but look at all these contemporary accounts of how he was a con man and a philanderer.
Yeah.
And yeah, he went quiet, but yeah, I think at least we've let go, you know. But
Well, you say.
well, we're still
You
sat
say
here, aren't we?
that.
We've let go.
I try and let go, but then they keep clawing me back. They
It's
do
hard
something that infuriates me, and that.
Yeah, when people say things like, I know we're going to get onto the name of the church, but my brother-in-law, who you know him, but he corrected me the other day, and my niece, who was like 6, corrected my wife. She
Oh,
said, "We are not Mormons. We are
oh my
members of the church of Jesus."
goodness!
And she's a
If anybody
6-year-old.
says that to me, honestly, I'd want to punch them.
I just said to him, does it not bother you all the money that was spent on the 8-year I'm a Mormon campaign?
Yeah.
So,
I
and
mean,
then,
absolutely, mate. Absolutely, just infuriates me, that stuff. It's that shit that just makes it a cult to me.
yeah.
You go, just the fact that you're parroting that crap says you're in a cult.
Well, the one amazing thing about the I'm a Mormon kind of collapse with the name of the church was that it gave birth to something unreal, Mormon Mad. And this is Barry's Instagram account, Mormon Mad, and you are a very good artist, as we'll see
I didn't
later
make that
on.
one. But
Well, this is your first one though. But what I think is interesting is what you said underneath, and I'll read it quickly. Being a good Mormon boy was all I ever wanted to be, and I loved it. But then I find out it's all a crock of shit and that I've been lied to and deceived for nearly 30 years. And that makes me mad. What makes me really mad is that it took me this long to realize how wrong it all is. And so I guess we'll go over to you for this ending of a testimony and mad. What was it that pushed you over the edge?
There was a few. It's not just one thing. We all talked. And I probably had elf that were happily collecting dust from the it's that the priest and the Book of Abraham and stuff. There was a few things on there. What really started my questioning the most did the name change. One, I've never particularly endeared myself to him, really boring and stuff. But so when it was called, I wasn't particularly excited by it. But they have spoken about, and I was like, what time in my life that I'd allowed size the leader, the prophet, time. I was just shocked by it all was. While all this is doing his A-level, a load of questions that I can't answer. He's talking about Adam God theory, and I'm like, oh mate, it's a load of rubbish. It's just all anti-Mormon lies.
Wow.
Your teachers don't know what they're talking about. You need to school them. I'm like, I don't know that. I've never heard of that. Let me do some research and digging like, oh shit, maybe it isn't At the same time that I discovered, obviously that's a great thing that it broke my shelf completely. And then this just nail in the coffin. Brilliant resourcing, really, with it. And I quickly, having weighed it all up, read thing, realization that, and once I'd accepted, we all talk about peace, that once I'd entertained in my mind that the church might not be true, and then gone, oh yeah, that's a real possibility. A weight came off my shoulders, and I was able to research even more and go, oh shit, it's impossible for it to be true. It's absolutely impossible. Yeah, it was. I was able to accept it and move on. Albeit, I was pissed, and I was pissed because I'd spent a lot of time. I'd pissed because I'd brought my children up in a way that wasn't always the best for them. The oldest one with dating and things like that. I spent a load of money on tithing that I didn't have. I was just pissed for being lied to. Wrong. There was a balance of the church got me out of poverty. The church helped me be a leader. It gave me an education. But it did all that at the same time as stringing me along. And,
yeah.
And so, yeah, I was pissed. And so I thought, I want to do something. I want to express it in some way. And the only way, I can't be mad without making myself laugh. So that's where Mormon Mad came from. I wanted to make myself laugh, because if I didn't laugh, I'd probably break down and cry. My world had been turned upside down. So I vented in a way that made me feel better, and maybe entertain people along the way. But even if it didn't entertain other people, as long as it entertained me, that's all I gave a shit about at that time.
Well, I think we're all better for it. We're going to look at a few examples of your artistry on Mormon Mad, which is just crazy. If anyone wants to look at all of the artistry, then take a look at Mormon Mad's Instagram account. And if you just go down to the description, there's a hyperlink there that'll take you straight to it. So yeah, awesome. But we'll take a quick look at some of my favorites that I picked out. So these drawings are your original works, is that?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
This all when I think about this, this all comes from the idea. It happened on a mission in Quebec, Catholic. If you're Catholic, you're a Jehovah's Witness. But there, and I think people have just done it throughout the annals of time. When they're pissed off, they make sacred things. They
make light of it.
Yeah, they pollute them, and so all Quebec are based on the Catholic Church. That's like saying fuck you. It's bad. It's sacrament. It's just really bad, and so they kind of pollute that was sacred, and I think that's what this is for me. This Mormon Mad, people who I thought sacred to me, things that I thought were precious, and going, and that's it's quite a personal thing, because I held these guys up on a pedestal. They were people that I looked up to, and so doing this actually meant it was part of my process of going, you're just men, that's all you are, and if you're just men, I'm going to take the piss out of you.
Yeah, and I think that's where I've come to. Like, if they sent me like a summons to some sort of disciplinary council, I'd want to go just to be able to say to them, you are just old men sat in a room in a glorified community center that the community can't use, and I don't give a rat's ass what you say. You're not I'm not going to go away crying that you've scolded me or anything. In fact, I wouldn't even let them scold me. I'd just say, I'll stop you there. I'll give you as much as I'd give anyone on the street, but as soon as you start being rude, off you go, mate.
Yeah.
But have your kids seen these? Because there's some conversation in the comments at the minute from Mark and Danelle and some others about their children, and I think some mixed faith marriages, etc., and that some people are happy, as we are, that we got our children away from it, but some people still have to, allow their children to kind of go to church. But I know your children, you and your family are out of church, but how have your kids, if they have seen it, reacted to Mormon Mad?
My oldest has seen it.
Okay.
So he's the one that kind of kickstarted us going out of the church, and he just laughs at them. My wife blushes at them, and the younger ones haven't seen it. I mean, it's not like we've severed ties with the church. My daughter, she's 14. She still goes to Mutual on a Tuesday. She doesn't believe in the church at all, but she enjoys going and seeing her friends. So we've still got contacts with the church, and I'm still, talking with everybody. I still feel part of what little community there is there now. But I've got no animosity to the church, even though it comes across with Mormon Mad that I do. I actually don't harbor any pain or hatred. This is purely for fun now. It's almost a little alter ego that just has a laugh.
Yeah, and I think we get that a bit from our missions. I always felt that the badge, the elder PD badge, was like something to almost hide behind. It gave me an air of authority in different things. And the church would say that, oh, we're hiding behind these monikers or whatever. But the thing is, we are what they created.
Yeah.
We are good at manipulating people because they taught us the commitment pattern. Not that we want to be.
Yeah, no, but that whole thing of you've left the church, why don't you leave it alone? Shitty argument. I think you've got to be crazy to leave. If you're so far in and you've done so much with them, they've meant so much to you, just drop and leave it? Are you kidding me? I think you've got to be a psychopath to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at my records the other day for tithing paid. You can go on lds.org, and on the member tools section, someone told me, and I thought, I'll go have a look. And you can get all your statements going back years, and it's infuriating. So I'm not leaving it alone. I've paid
to be able to piss and moan.
Yeah, basically. But this one's awesome. So we've got President Nelson there in his temple robes, which, for anyone who's not been through the temple, if you're seeing that for the first time, sorry, it is.
Yeah, that's the prattish look that you'll have when you go through the temple.
And that elastic around the hat used to itch so much.
And then you get that red band when you came out. You got undressed.
The halo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't have the little tie anymore.
I heard that. Yeah.
And they've taken the plastic out of the hat.
Oh, have they? So how does the hat stand then? Is it floppy now?
It's just floppy. We've lost that. So there's this. I was always taught that the tie there between the head was from the Godhead, and it was revelation to the apostles, who were the ribbons on the shoulder. And like I said to my dad, well, there's no tie anymore. What about revelation? There's no revelation anymore. And,
it's full of shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love those kind of reading in between the lines, reading beyond the mark, is it?
but this one touches on some breaking news that kind of hit the Mormon sphere, or the ex-Mormon sphere, earlier this year, but it was a really old kind of bit of news. I'd seen it a few years ago, but I wasn't really into the ex-Mormon stuff quite as much. But it was from the frequently asked questions, still on the church news site, saying, do Mormons get their own planet? And it says no, and then goes on to say it was a caricature of whatever. So you've put here, to bollocks, we said you could have your own planet. We're not some weirdo shitbag cult, you know. But I think a lot of people who grew up like we did were taught, you know, maybe not expressly in the manuals. In fact, no, I'm going to say that if I had to sit down and come up with something that said I would be given my own planet through exaltation, I could come up with it from a manual.
I was taught that I would be the creator of planets and spirit children. If I create it, surely it's mine. So whether owning your own planet is a caricature of an expression of creating your own planet or not, it's bloody the same thing. It's just been turned into a headline in the Sun. That's all. But for them to deny it, it's all about the church is on a mission now to be mainstream. That's all this is about. That everything they're doing is about, we need to be seen as Christians, we need to be part of the mainstream Christian community. And so they're just getting rid of the kind of jagged bits on the edges that actually makes Mormonism cool and fun. They're just homogenizing it all, and it's all unique, dull and boring now.
Yeah, I think that they're going like most like political parties, aren't they? They're all coming from the left and the right to the center. Yeah. So there's not that much difference between them. But for their hardcore members, they've still got a few bits on the peripheries that kind of allows them to still believe.
Yeah. And all their growth's in Africa, isn't it? So they don't need to have these weird ass beliefs. They can just be mainstream Christian, and as long as you can help them get an education and stuff like that, there'll be massive growth in Africa for them.
Well, when I was looking at, I posted a little while ago the kind of chart, the organogram of all the different sects of Mormonism, and when you look at some of them, they're like churches in Africa where the church went out there pre the priesthood ban being abolished, and there weren't enough white brethren to sustain the wards, so the church went there, couldn't sustain it, and kind of backed off a bit, but the teaching was there. So some African brethren continued these wards, and now they're their own churches, the Church of Jesus Christ, like Nigeria, and stuff. So they've still got all the teachings, and they've just kind of shaped them around their African Christian identity, which was interesting.
I think that's way cooler.
Yeah, I mean, another one here. So Joseph Smith, who's he pictured with?
What's the guy?
Martin Harris.
It's Martin Harris, but who was the one that said it's not? It's a shitty text. It's not real. I've forgotten the one that they went to prove that it was legit, reformed Egyptian.
Adam.
I can't remember his name.
Anywhere in the comments? Not Signe Rigdon, Wendy. It was the guy.
He had to travel to go see him. Was it Signe that went to see him, or is it? I can't remember.
Charles Anthony. Thank you, Julian.
Yes, Charles Anthony. There we go.
Julian Heath popping up there.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah. So they went to see him, didn't they? And then there's some. Did they say that he gave them some sort of proof that it was right, and then retracted it? But I just think it's funny when you do actually look at some of the symbols that they profess to or call Reformed Egyptian, which, by the way, is not a language anywhere in the world. Like, they've not found this anywhere, only in what Joseph Smith wrote down. The fuck, it's an upside down B. Professor Anthony. And then Joseph, it's reformed Egyptian, you bearded twat. I think that's fantastic, because some of them do just look like upside down letters or backwards letters,
Yeah,
don't
it's
they?
mental, isn't it? I mean, he's got some balls, Joseph, hasn't he? He really has. When you look at what he's done, I mean, hats off to him. I can't help but admire him. I mean, he was a lying, cheating, thieving bastard, but you've got to admire him for all that he's achieved. Because
he's
genius.
He'd be the Donald Trump of today.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in the comments, so we've Doug tells us that Martin Harris was the one to take it, and Sheila that Professor Anthony gave him a certificate of authentication, then tore it up. Is the account? But you have to wonder why he tore it up. So maybe because he knew it was bullshit. Okay, another one of Brother Joe here, smoking his cigar.
I like to think of Joseph Smith as a bit of a gangster.
You know what? He was, though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He got his Danites, and he's enforced.
He's a mafia boss, isn't he?
Yeah. Like, I think the guy's a total prick.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But if you looked at it from a non-religious perspective and listed his worldly achievements and the being able to just splurge everyone's money in a banking fraud and having all the women that he wanted and founding cities and different things like that, you could almost hold him up as some sort of lovable rogue. But the fact that he did it all in the name of religion, and it's impacted us so far down the line, it seems like he was a bit of a knob end.
But again, I could see him in a Shane. If he did a Shane Ritchie Joseph Smith movie, that'd be great.
Yeah. You know what, though? The best thing would be, because it'd be like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we thought about it, we could come up with something.
Feed him cheddar pigs, Martin.
Long cock and two wives called Carols. But yeah, like, and the members would eat it up because they'd see it coming out, and then they'd not watch it because they'd tell them not to watch it, and then they'd tell everyone that it's really bad, and people would say, "But have you watched it?" And they'd be like, "No, but I know it's really bad." And it tells lies. But you've put there. So then I said, "Oh, come on. If you don't do it," and Angel said, "He'll fuck me up with his flaming sword." So she did. Can you tell us what that was?
I'm laughing at my own joke, but just
long cock and two wives called Carol. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
You need to do a Mormon Mad of that. like a movie cover. Long cock and two wives called Carol by Shane Ritchie. Oh no, awesome.
Great.
But yeah, that's the angel with a flaming sword that forced him to marry children. So
he was I just the lies to the sea. I mean, actually, sometimes I feel bad. I mean, you're going to show one later where I actually thought, oh, should I post this actually, because he probably raped girls, but there's a really nasty undertone. There's a darkness to that whole era with polygamy. Well, polygamy as a whole, there's a real darkness to it, and it's actually really sad. But I suppose to the point of, if you don't laugh, you cry, because it is truly horrendous what those old boys got up to.
Yeah, I think Sheila says here, Joseph Smith turned good living women into whores. They passed these women around. So yeah, it's
yeah.
I think the sad thing was that in most cases, I know in some cases, the parents of the child weren't there, and different things like the sisters that he adopted and different things like that. But that a lot of the time the parents were there and kind of allowed it to happen because he was a prophet of God.
Because they thought their eternal lives depended on it. They were somehow going to be connected in the eternities to a prophet and therefore be exalted. I mean, it was just wrong on every level, wasn't it?
I think this is the one you were talking about.
Yeah. So I wasn't, even for me, I thought, is there a line, Baz? Is there a line? Let's find out.
Well, I think what you've done here is you've taken two very Mormon things, one from, the 1800s and one from the 2000s, and kind of put them together in what is a very good kind of, it's not good, but it's a bit clever. So we've got Joseph there in some state of arousal.
I always thought it'd be better to have Joseph with a dad bod as well.
Yeah. Even though they say he was ripped, don't they?
Yeah,
He was this fine figure of a man.
I based him on Will Ferrell.
yeah, I can see it, but it's unmistakably him, which I think is amazing.
It just so when I did, it was just like, what would make me laugh, and it was like, oh, Joseph with a cum face. it's gonna make me laugh, but yeah.
Okay. So, okay, Fanny, remember, as long as we don't move, it doesn't count. Ooh, fuck. So he clearly didn't have a third there to jump up and down on the bed next
He didn't
to him.
need it.
No. So that's referencing, obviously, Joseph's scrape with Fanny Alga, who the 17-year-old housemaid. And I don't know, he could be saying there that if they don't move, Emma's like a bit of a dinosaur and she won't see them if they're not moving. But it works on a lot of levels. But yeah, with the Provo soak and the Provo jump.
I didn't even know if it was true. I was like, this can't be. This has got to be just folklore. These people cannot be doing this, surely.
No, they are, mate.
But
Literally, it's not even a new thing. It's another one of them things that has just all of a sudden caught the attention of the media outside of Mormonism.
yeah.
So then it's gone like wildfire through the whole world as such. But yeah, there's so many for anyone that's in Utah, because I know we've got a few people watching from across the pond. There are different things to do with armpits, other holes, and there's all these different ways to get around the law of chastity. And I think, again, it's what the church has created themselves. It's the monster that they have built. I think I said it a couple of weeks ago. If you get enough Eagle Scouts together who want to break the law of chastity, they will come up with very ingenious ways to do it.
They're always prepared, aren't
they? Yeah, and that's what they've done. They've put all these young men through Scouts and said, how do you get around that law? Well, let's read the letter of the law. Oh, it never said anything about not moving.
Yeah. No, it's absolute, and no no biology or science goes into it at all. No. It's just from this religious framework. It just boggles my head, and again, just reaffirms that we're all in a cult.
Yeah, and it's so.
I got a really good reply from somebody on this one. Do you mind if I read it to you?
Go for it.
So some people get really offended at what I put, which is perfectly acceptable to be offended at these posts. I'm not bothered. that people get offended. But it makes me laugh when people send me messages like this. Hey, I recently saw your post about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, not Mormon. I just wanted to let you know that I forgive you for the things you're saying about God's restored church. But forgiveness from me won't matter. Our words will condemn us. But I know that God provided a way for us to repent and change. I do not wish to argue with you at all. I just wanted you to know that you're loved. Whatever happened to you while you were a member, I hope you know that there's something you're missing. I don't know what it is, but you do, and so does God. I would encourage you to look to God to solve problems and not make hurtful, offensive, and so immoral pictures about the church. If you're at least still a Christian, then know that what you're doing is not Christ-like. It is the opposite of being a good man or woman. You know you're wrong. And the voice inside your heart is still there telling you that. I care about you and hope that you'll change. God bless you, brother or sister.
Wait, did you actually know this person?
No.
So I know you and I care about you.
Yeah. And so I just put, you're too kind. Thank you for not being all judgmental or self-righteous. You seem to know me better than I know myself. I'm sure that must be the Spirit guiding you. You must be a very righteous individual. You're right. There is something missing in me. I think it's called not giving a shit what you think.
Oh dear.
Brilliant.
No, that's the good one. But it's the classic rebuke with love.
Yeah.
And
this whole kind of I'm right, you're wrong, where we've got the truth. It just infuriates me that, again, going back to where we started with this living in the grey, you can't truthfully live in the grey when the church is telling you we have got revelation through the prophets and we are the only true church. Because you get assholes like that, and I feel sorry for him. He's not an asshole because he was born an asshole. He's an asshole because of Mormonism, and it's not his fault. And so we should feel sorry for assholes like that. But at the same time, they need to be called out.
Yeah, and I'm just impressed how many times you said arsehole in 30 seconds. That was fantastic. And if he's ever seen like more than just this one, because you've got loads of them, but more than just this one, how can he even think that you're a Christian? Because he must think Christians are like Satan worshippers or something.
Because they're not the right Christians, are they? So they get up to all kinds of things that there were other Christians.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. I think this is the last one. This one kind of, it had I guess thingy or some reference or not. Nemo did a Temple Recommend interview with Joseph Smith.
Nemo actually got the idea for that from this, apparently.
Okay. Oh
yeah. Well, so that's what he told me. Yeah. He said he saw this, it made him laugh, so he thought, "Oh, I'm going to do something on that."
You want to charge him royalties on all of his YouTube views for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I'm glad he inspired somebody. I think he was probably the only person I inspired with this post. But...
Yeah, I think this was a good one because the thing was, there was no one that could hold Joseph to account. He literally crowned himself king of the world with the Council of 50, and there was no living person who could hold him to account. And anyone that tried to either got excommunicated or he kind of came up with another level of bullshit.
Well, what did he ordain himself as? The president of the world or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, king of the world.
It just some like, I am at the top of the pile. You cannot question me.
He even said that he was better than Jesus because Jesus's followers killed him in the end.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if the man's not a prophet, he is now, because I hate to tell you, Joe, but your followers killed you in the end.
I think this came from, I can't remember at the time. I think there was a load of stuff going around about temple recommends or something, the changing or whatever. I can't remember what inspired this one. But yeah, I just remember thinking, wouldn't it be great if you could actually hold Joseph to account if he had to do a temp? Would he be able to pass a temple recommend interview with all the shit he's pulled?
We'll just reference a couple of bits you put there. So, fuck me sideways, Joseph. I think if you asked him nicely, he would. So then it says, so that's no to the word of wisdom. So it's well known that Joseph Smith had a glass of wine and different things, that they didn't keep the word of wisdom.
Oh yeah,
as we do these days. No to being honest in your dealings with your fellow men. Well, that'd be not just the bullshit lies, but you can go back to the banking fraud.
Yeah.
For the love of God, please tell me you keep the law of chastity. And the law of chastity, as Joseph Smith taught it, he didn't. Even the law of polygamy, as Joseph Smith taught it, he didn't stick by it. So yeah, I very much doubt he would get a temple recommend.
I mean, he's got no chance. I mean, he's no chance of getting to the celestial kingdom, Joseph, has he really?
You know what? If we go there and he's there and I'm not allowed in, I'm going to be lodging a complaint.
Absolutely.
Because
it needs to be fair, this stuff, Not supposed to be fair, isn't it?
I'd just say, look, put his life up on that screen, put mine up on that, let's go for it, we'll keep score. But no, Mormon Mad, absolutely nuts. And again, there's quite a few of these wonderful images and quips that you've put together. So anyone that wants to look over them, head to Instagram, either find Mormon Mad or take a look at the hyperlink just down below. So we come from Mormon Mad, and we're going to now shift to the side to a story that you shared with us here at Priesthood Dispatches from your mission. And the story is called Jesus in the Fridge. The full text of the story can be found on the Priesthood Dispatches website. There's a link below. But we're going to get now from the mouth of the missionary himself what happened with the Jesus in the Fridge story.
I would recommend reading it because I won't do it justice remembering it off the cuff, but essentially we was in the middle of nowhere, Ontario. My companion and I were pretty bored. There was not much to do, so we decided to look in the area book. Came across a family that we didn't know, and it just had a note next to it saying something like "Weird Dad." So we gave him a I can't remember if we gave him a call or if we just drove out there, to be honest. But we got there, it was dark. Again, took about 45 minutes to get there. Knocked on the door. They were really pleased to see us, which we were surprised at. And they took us into the living room. And I'll always remember the time frame because that movie with Will Smith had just come out. The one, I've forgotten what the movie's called. The one where he's
Enemy of the State.
What was that?
Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State. That's it. Yeah, Enemy of the State with the mobile phone stuff and Gene Hackman and all that kind of stuff. So that's on. I'm like, I haven't seen this. I want to watch this. So I'm half watching that, half listening to my companion give a spiritual thought. And then the father of the house, the weird dad, asks us to join him in the kitchen away from the rest of the family, which we thought was a bit odd. But we went into the kitchen with him, and he sat us down, and we start talking. And this is where the weird dad note kind of starts to make sense, but doesn't go anywhere close to describing how batshit crazy he was. And he starts telling us that the church is in apostasy, that he just spent the resurrected Spencer W. Kimball, and that because the church was in apostasy, Alan, the dad, was now responsible to bring the church in line. And to prove it, to prove to us that this happened, he did two things. First, he told us about seeing Jesus Christ, and the second thing he did was take us into his basement. I'll tell you about the story of Jesus first. As he opened the top half of his fridge, he had a revelation and a vision and saw Jesus, but not the full Jesus, just the torso, the top half of Jesus on the cross. And he astutely kind of recognized that he was in a lot of pain. And this was a miracle to him that Jesus was in his fridge. But to make matters even more spectacular, his friend who lives 50 miles or so down the road, a long road, saw Jesus as well in his fridge, but in the lower half of his fridge, so that when he opened his bottom half of the fridge, he saw the legs of Jesus on the cross. And this was supposed to, tell us that I'm a serious man. I've had visions. Trust me. I'm a man of God. And my companion was nudging me to go. Let's just leave. And I'm going, are you kidding me? This is gold. We're staying. And then he said, but I've got something to show you down in my basement. It's how I communicate with the other worlds. Would you like to see it? And I'm like, shit, yeah, I want to see it. So we go down to his basement, and I suppose it probably wiser missionaries would have thought twice about this, but I was already thinking about my homecoming talk. So we go down, and in the corner of the room is this bed that looks a bit like a doctor's examination table, but comfier. And he goes, there it is, my uring and thumbing. I'm like, you're what? And he's like, yeah, this is the thing I've sold. It's all patented. I've sold it. I've sold 6 so far.
Oh my gosh!
And it will take you into a trance, into another world, and you'll be able to communicate with gods and become a god yourself. And I'm like, can I have a go? And he's like, would you? I'm like, nobody else has asked. I'm like, haven't they? Really? I want to go. Come on, let's do it. So I go over to the other corner of the room. He tells me what to do. I lay down, close your eyes, heavy breathing, and the bed will rotate just like this. I make this noise, and so as I'm on the bed and it's rotating, and it's really comfortable, extremely comfortable. I can just hear my companion and him talking about like the great philosophers of the world. And I'm like, I'm really glad I'm not in that conversation. And I'm just drifting off to sleep. And then what seems to be maybe 10 minutes later, is over my face, turned off. He's going, so what did you think? What did you think? And the reality is, I fell asleep because, you're a missionary and you're knackered from reading, trying to learn French, doing push-ups, reading the Book of Mormon at 6:30 in the morning. I'm knackered and I'd fallen asleep on this bed, and I really wanted to tell him what I thought, but then I remembered I was in his basement in the middle of nowhere.
You got to get away.
And I was laid down. So I thought, I best not at this stage. At least let me get upstairs before I tell him the truth. We got upstairs, and my companion just wanted to go. But me being like just stupid and stuff, called him to repentance, and then he never invited us back. And my companion got really mad at me for calling him to repentance. I'm like,
Oh my
you
God.
really seriously want to go back there? Oh, we could have saved him. We could have saved him. I'm like, whatever. I mean, I shouldn't have called anybody to repentance. It was me. Who was I? But as a young kind of missionary, thinking I knew it all, having this brilliant experience, and then realizing that the guy's just an absolute nutter.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was one of the funner stories. My mission was full of kind of stupidness and fun, and that was one of the better ones.
And I think that's probably how he sold 6 of them. He got guys in his basement, and they like paid out of fear just to get out of the property. And they've probably got these beds just in the garage or whatever. And when someone comes in to look at something, they're like, "Oh, what's with the bed?" And these guys kind of cower, and they're like, "It's just a really bad time in my life."
Well, honestly, the bed was really comfortable. I'd have bought one just to be able to sleep.
Well, the thing is as well, which person in their right mind sees the torso of a dead person in their fridge and doesn't like panic about?
Well, do you know, it gets a bit darker because his friend that saw the bottom half of Jesus, and I can't remember all the details, so forgive me, but I found out a few months later that he'd gone to Salt Lake and murdered a load of kids.
Wow.
And yeah, he's still serving. He's still in prison, obviously. But yeah, batshit crazy stories that we were all laughing at, and you go, actually, I don't know if he was a psycho, but his friend certainly was.
There's no jokes to be had there.
No, no, it's gone on it. Sorry.
Awesome. So that was Jesus in the Fridge. And like Barry said, go and read it. And what is awesome about Barry's story is Barry wrote it. It's I've not changed any of it. It's Barry's creation. So yeah, go and read it on the website and share it with everyone. And if you do have any questions about it, go to Mormon Mad and email him there. And
absolutely,
sure he can tell you more about it. So that kind of brings us to an end of this evening's festivities. We've got the UK rescue to look forward to on Halloween of all weekends. So everyone's going to have gone to trunk and treat and celebrated like dead people and ghouls and everything on the Saturday, Friday evening. And then on Sunday, we're going to be treated to more nearly deads on the stand to tell us more crazy cultish stuff. But yes, thank you, Barry, for just being you, for Mormon Mad, for bringing that into our world, because I think it is needed. And I think this whole thing, when it comes to whether it's arguing about the doctrine or whatever, just being able to take the piss and laugh about it is therapeutic and
absolutely
needed. Let's not be too serious with ourselves, because I think that's how we've ended up where we are. Everyone just took Joseph too seriously when he was started just kind of as a kid lying about wanking in the woods. So
yeah,
on that note,
absolutely. No, thanks for having me, man.
No, awesome. Thanks for everyone in the chat. We've had a really active chat this episode, and I think they've had some good conversations on the side of what we've been talking about as well.
Yeah, that's cool. I've been trying to keep track of it, but I couldn't all of them. But yeah, that's cool.
It's been flying past. I think a good one from Doug just a minute ago. A guy in my mission said he saw Jesus standing on his tractor. So awesome. Doug.
I've seen Jesus in my cereal. You know.
Really?
Yeah.
Or like your
cookie,
as the Americans would call it, grilled cheese.
Yeah.
Just quickly, if anyone knows what that phenomenon is, they say about like seeing shapes in clouds and stuff, don't they? That your mind kind of rearranges things into certain shapes.
Yeah.
there's an actual scientific thing, but too
yeah.
serious for this conversation. Announcements in true Mormon form. Next week there won't be an after dinner chat because I'm going on holiday.
Oh, nice.
Yay for me.
Well done.
I'm getting a flight from North Kolob to South Kolob, where it is summer. And yeah, after that, we look forward to the rescue. Coming up in January, we've got Thrive UK on the 22nd of January. Anyone in the UK or Europe or just close, that'll be in Bristol. Good train links, good flight links, and it'll be a good piss up. And it's $25 with a good lunch included. So I think in UK money it's about 18 quid. So
Is that
yeah.
bad?
And there are limited spaces there. I'm on the committee, along with Nemo and a few others, Sean, Catherine, David, and Lee. But yeah, it'd be really good. The 22nd of January 2022, and that's the World Thrive Day as well. So we'll be having a talk from John DeLynn and RFM with a Q&A after. So awesome. But for this evening, in the words of, what was the guy? Jim Carrey. He lived in that bubble. That movie.
Oh, Truman.
Yeah, I fucked up the line now.
You have, haven't you?
Yeah.
The whole thing, mate.
Yeah. No, he says something like good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Piss off.
Yeah. See you later. Thanks, everyone.
See you later, man.
Bye.
Bye.